Welcome to the Werner podcast on iCode Media. I know I say I'm excited about every session we do. This one I'm really excited about because Allen, I think you were one of the first, if not the first, webinar or podcast rather that I did on the Werner podcast on iCode Media a day or two ago, and so it's full circle. And I'm excited about your topic today because you're not just presenting a topic. I've seen you live through this. And we've had lots of calls. We've recorded a couple of those discussions here. But it's been a lot of fun watching you develop as a practice owner, develop as a doctor, develop as a person. And quite frankly, I've stolen a lot of really cool things from our conversations that I put into place into my life and my practice. So thank you. And I know that you put together a presentation for our local San Diego Vision Source group that I heard great things about. I happened to be out of town and missed it, so selfishly, right, I'm stealing this or this opportunity to see this presentation. So those of you who are listening, if you want to see the slides, Allen does have some slides. You can jump over to our YouTube channel that will be linked in the show notes. Otherwise, we'll talk through the slides so you're not missing out on anything. But Allen, for those who haven't heard you, real quick, intro on who you are, and then let's dive into this.
Of course. Thanks for having me back. I'd like to say that first round was just a practice round that I was doing mainly for this, just to show off to you, Aaron, of course. My name's Allen Chung. I'm an optometrist, private practice owner in San Diego, California. Thanks to Aaron Werner right here, I own an office and been learning all along, and it's been a solid 5 years now. So you get a call and says, hey, you've been growing a lot. Can you make a presentation and share it with the group? I was like, sure. I'm the yes man type of guy. So worked on a presentation, threw some slides up together, and hopefully people can take some pointers away and shorten the learning curve, if that makes sense.
Now, you said you're growing a lot. I don't want to steal any thunder. Do you talk in here about how much you're growing?
I removed it because I did it. It's an awkward, I don't want to brag or anything like that, but okay. I've definitely grown a lot and learned a lot about the business of optometry as well, thanks to you guys and Vision Source and just living through it. So we can share that.
I'm going to brag for you a little bit because people want to know why we're going to listen. You bought an established practice.
Yep.
A practice that had been there for decades. And a good practice, right? A very established practice that was solid. And in the last 2 years, you've grown over 20%.
Yep.
Right, year over year, and you're on pace to do significantly more than that this year. So it's you don't have to brag. I'm going to brag for you. Right? There's still plenty of growth opportunities in a market in San Diego, and if I'm at your practice, just to give people the lay of the land, you're not by yourself on an island.
No,
you can
I got
pretty much throw a baseball and hit a handful of other practices.
Five doctors within a block away from me. Ooh. Aaron, I think I lost you for a little bit.
Oh, we're back. What did you hear last?
I said, I heard that you said you're not by yourself, and then I confirmed it. I said I had about 4 doctors within a block away from me.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So you're very much with heavy competition, and you're doing incredibly well. So for those who are listening and don't know your practice and don't know San Diego and the marketplace, I think it's important for them to understand how cool and what you've been able to do given the environment that you're in. Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron. Like I said, thanks for all your help. We've had plenty of phone calls at this point, but let's get started.
Yep.
So my presentation I presented on is just keys to growth. So things that I've done to grow my practice. The goal for this is so that hopefully we can shrink some of that ignorance costs for people that are listening and other doctors, and hopefully we can learn something or everyone can learn something to excel their practice a little bit more. So disclosures, no one's paying me for this. It's just me and my views of optometry and everything I've learned. So, like I said, who am I? I'm Allen Chung. I'm born and raised in Northern California, Fremont, California to be exact. I graduated UCSD with an economics degree, so a little different than most doctors out there. Always knew I kind of wanted to do some sort of business. Was pre-med going in. Learned really quickly organic chemistry wasn't for me, and decided to switch. But somehow made it back into medicine. I went to SCCO and graduated at SCCO in 2018. So I have, for those listening, I have the meme with that dog and everything else is on fire. And with the wording at the bottom saying, "This is fine." This was me for probably a solid 3 to 4 years. And this was probably Aaron getting a frantic text 6 a.m. in the morning saying, "What do I do if this happens?" And well, I've gotten a lot better, and I know a lot of doctors are in this situation, so we can hopefully learn something in this presentation. So topics, we're going to talk about product. We're going to talk about, more specifically, the inside product, people, marketing, procedures, and things I've changed, and some recommendations at the very end. So product, obviously I'm born and raised in Northern California, Silicon Valley to be exact, and there's a term in the VC world and the business world called product market fit. Aaron, any chance you know what that means? Any ideas?
I'm going to let you describe it.
Okay. Well, product market fit, there's a good thing and a bad thing. Good news is it's actually one of the most important terms in terms of any startups. Bad news is you can ask 100 people and they'll give you 100 different answers. So no one can actually agree on the definition of product market fit. So if you Googled what product market fit means being in a good market with a product that can satisfy that market. Long story short, that doesn't mean a lot. So my understanding or my interpretation of what product market fit is you have a target market, which is our patients, our customers, and you have your product. For us as optometrists, that's our office, that's optometry, that's us practicing. And that has to match up together in the sense of you'll know when you hit product market fit when your patients actually want what you are giving them. Meaning they want to come to your office. They want to be a patient at your office. They don't care if it costs more. They don't care if it's a challenge or you're booked out 3 weeks. So what is the optometry product, right? So optometry product, in my point of view, is a couple big kind of factors. One is your people. People in terms of your patients, people in terms of your team. After you have a good team and a good product or good people, then it's how well you can market it, how well you can tell the world it. And the last one, which if everyone wants to listen, Aaron and I had a long conversation when I was a lot younger on policies and procedures. You could also listen to that as well. But yeah, so that's my point of view of what the optometry product is and why patients will come find you and come want to see you. So people, ironically, the week I was presenting, Ted also talked about this, but I was already in my slides already, so I'm going to present it, Ted. So there's external and there's internal. External are your patients. You have to grow your patient base. No matter what, for an office to be successful, you need butts in the chair. There's all these other strategies on how to do that, but we're not going to talk about that today. Today, we're actually going to talk about your team, and your team as in delegation. So, what is delegation? Delegation is the process of distributing work or entrusting other people to do work. Why is delegation hard? It's because no one teaches you how to delegate, right? We don't go to school and says, "Hey, Aaron, I'm going to delegate this exam to you. You're going to take this test for me," right? We can't do that. They don't let us do that.
Nope.
So we innately are really bad at it as individuals going through education and schooling. So a lot of times what happens is, well, if you need something done, you just take it and you do it yourself. And you've heard that term before. It's easier if I did it. It's faster. If you want to get something done, do it yourself type of mentality. But what happens is it becomes really hard. And in the Harvard Business Review, there's this article that talks about like management, and it talks about something called a monkey on your back. And I tell my staff this because now we make everything into monkeys. All problems are monkeys. So delegation, I would say there's kind of two levels of delegation. The first one's the basic one. It's just a task delegation. Hey, Aaron, can you go throw out the trash? Easy. I would say 95% of small businesses are actually run this way. And to be honest, you can be very successful. I would say it's very easy to delegate a task and have that individual do the task. But what happens is all the problems, or in this situation, all the monkeys then come to you. Hey, Aaron, the trash has a lock on it. What do I do? Yeah. Or, hey, Aaron, the trash bin broke. What do I do? Right? So all these problems come to you. So if you want to go on vacation, well, the world doesn't stop. You need people to make something called decisions. So that becomes that level 2 of in terms of delegation. So so I'm gonna give you some examples and why I call this like monkey on patients' backs, or monkeys in general. So when your employees come to you, Aaron, and says, "Hey, Aaron, these contacts are back ordered," guess what happens in that situation? They walked in with the problem and dropped the problem off in your office.
Yep.
And guess what I used to do a lot? Don't worry, Aaron. I'll call OOGP, or I'll call CLX, or I'll call my Coopervision rep, or Alcon rep, and I'll take care of it. I adopted the monkey. And guess what happens? That's not a one monkey situation. There's 8 hours in a day. And imagine if this happens 8 times a day, 10 times a day. At the end of the day, you just have all the monkeys in your room. So remember that first meme I just showed you with all the fires burning? That's what happens. So what did I learn? I learned that I need these monkeys back on them. They need to take these monkeys out of my room after they come into my room. So I kind of stole this trick from you because I've heard you say it before. But I asked them, I go, hey, if you were me, what would you do, Aaron? So it does two things. The first one is I get to see how they think. I get to see how my employee thinks. And I can see if they are capable of making these decisions. And number 2, like I said earlier, I want these monkeys back on their back and to leave my room with that employee. And this situation kind of snowballs in the sense of once you start getting a hang of your staff understanding that they can come into your room and ask you a question, but at the end of the day, they should bring an answer to it. Now they're learning to make the decision. You're training your staff to take responsibility in certain things. And unless these are what we call, in my office, we label them as like flaming monkeys, where these are hot monkeys. They're gonna be on fire that no one else can handle other than Aaron Werner or yours truly. I don't want these monkeys. So my staff, 90% of the time nowadays, can kind of swerve these problems away from me, other than, hey, Doc, it's time. I think I have a monkey that's turning a little red. Do you mind helping me out in this situation? And obviously, I'm open to. I need to know when these situations happen. So that's the level 2 level of delegation, and hopefully, eventually, your employees get good enough where they just are your monkey guardians. They just block out all these monkeys, so you don't even know that there's problems, and they're putting out the fires for you. So that's monkeys on your back. So
nice. Well, what I like about that, Alan, is you're teaching them you're helping to train higher level skills, right? And so you're empowering them to make that. I also love the monkey on fire, or the flaming monkeys, because internally we all have our own codes internally, right?
Yep.
And that's a perfect visual. I can see that. Hey, I gotta put on my fireman's hat because I got a flaming monkey that you need some help with, which is appropriate to bring to me.
Yeah. I also have to train them to not let me know when it's like 4 months back ordered, and then the monkey is like completely on fire.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of hosing down I gotta do and making people happy. But I want to change everyone's quote mentality. I don't know where I got it from. I Googled it, and I don't know who said it. But if you want to go fast, go yourself. If you want to go far, go together. And I've learned that a lot this year. I texted you earlier this year where I had a pretty big shift in terms of my team. And I think you even told me right before this podcast, we're growing even faster than what we were average the past couple of years of growth this year. So my team is, I have to say thank you to a lot of my team for all the help that they've given me. The next topic is on marketing. Not going to lie to you, marketing, people do careers, get degrees in marketing. There's a lot in marketing. So I kind of broke down marketing in terms of like 2 big sections. One's more digital, one's more grassroots. Digital is everything digital, online. Reviews, social media, email, Google SEOs, banners. For those who can't see, I kind of listed them in terms of everything I've tried. And when I list them, I put them in order of which I think is the most important. And in my opinion, Google reviews, or just reviews in general, it's what we all think. It's word of mouth. It's just a digital version of word of mouth. What I found interesting was SEOs and email marketing. It's all about like consistency is what I've learned. If you do it for like 1 to 2 weeks and then you forget it, cough, cough, like I've done in the past in my email marketing, you just forget it, you get busy, and you don't send out email out in 5 months, it doesn't really do anything. So a lot of marketing stuff, in my opinion, is just how consistent you are. And by that consistency, that's when you really will see results and will see what has actually worked or not. But yeah, and then grassroots, since I said the digital part, grassroots, obviously word of mouth referrals, visual acuity exams like school, sponsorships, sports teams, things like that. Sponsoring groups, like same thing, schools, churches, communities. Postcards I've tried. It's hard.
Yeah.
I didn't see much results off of it. But yeah, so that's kind of like my view of marketing. But what's unique is I actually wanted to talk about a different.
Hey, Alan, let me jump back up on your marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So we found the same success on the digital marketing, especially the reviews. Yeah. How are you getting reviews? Are you asking for them? Do you have what's your secret to getting those reviews?
To get good reviews, you need to just be good. I don't know how to say it in a better term. You need a good product. I can guarantee you can encourage the staff, you can promote the staff, or you can tell the staff to say, hey, remind patients to give us good reviews. But no one likes to do it. So what we've been doing is we have Weave. And Weave will, once you check the patient out, I think it's like 2 or 3 hours afterwards, they'll send, hey, if you liked your visit, please leave a review. And our reviews have just exponentially grown ever since I've done that. And I can guarantee you, sometimes it's staff, but a lot of times it's just the patients are happy getting their exams with us or satisfied with their service. So yeah, it's the same as like I said, it's just a digital version of word of mouth marketing. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. So the most important part, which a lot of people don't really think about, same situation. I call it this like the quad marketing strategy, where there's kind of like external and internal marketing. And this kind of ties in with like employees too. But everyone understand. So there's internal, there's external, there's employees, there's prospects as in like customers. So external and prospects in this bottom quadrant is your future customers, future patients. You need to market to them to promote them to come into your office. So the next quadrant, internal prospects, these are your patients already. You have to market towards them to keep them coming back, to order contacts, buy frames, whatever your sales service is, right? But what a lot of people don't think about is the other side. And the other side is what we have issues with 90% of the time, is our employees, it's our staff, right? So internal employees, if you talk to Lori about this, she's really big on culture. And I took the Boo classes years ago at this point. I didn't really understand it at that point. I'm like, culture is kind of like this ambiguous, like, like team culture. You're like, I get it in terms of sports, right? Like we got a winning culture. We're here for championships. But as I've gotten older, the more I value it and understand that, like, you really need to sell your current employees a mission. And if everyone's bought in, everyone's on the same boat, going in the same direction, align goals, that's where your growth really explodes. But what a lot of people don't talk about is your external employees, which are future employees that you got to bring into your office. You have to market to them too. Like in the business world or the tech world, there's something called Glassdoor, where you can go and search up a company and be like, should I work here? Like these consulting companies have like rankings where it's like, they're going to work you really hard, but you're going to get so much value out of it. For us small businesses, we don't have that. So guess what these future employees are doing? They're looking up your reviews. The reviews aren't just for future patients, they're actually for your future employees too. They're looking up your website. They're looking up your company in general. So you also have to sell your future employees when you're making a post on Indeed, because guess what? They're looking to see if this is a worthwhile company to work for as well. So that's that quadrant that I wanted to share to everyone and say, hey, like, we all have staffing issues. We all have issues bringing employees into our office, but maybe we should think about it differently in the sense of, let's market towards these new potential candidates to come in and become an employee. So yeah,
I like that.
Makes sense. It makes
a lot of sense.
It's a weird way of thinking about it.
Well, I think if you have a good culture internally, and you're aware of what your internal culture is for the employees, it's really hard to have a bad culture, but a good or rather, it's really hard to have a good product and a bad culture, right? The two usually go hand in hand.
Correct.
And so if you've got a really good internal culture, your product's going to be good, and then it's easier to attract and retain good talent.
Correct. And people are going to want to work for you.
Yeah.
Versus you selling, hey, I need someone to work for me, versus, hey, here's a resume. If you guys have an opening, can I come in and work? It's
a whole lot easier to hire when somebody's asking if they can work than if you got to go out and search for it.
Correct.
Yep. The Myopia Collective. Cooper Vision and the AOA have partnered in a groundbreaking initiative to change the way optometrists in the U.S. treat children with myopia. The purpose of the Myopia Collective is to rally the profession of optometry and its allies to interrupt the status quo and elevate the new standard of care for children with myopia. Every individual is encouraged to become a member of the collective. By joining, you commit to taking action to help slow the progression of myopia in children. You'll receive updates and information about the collective and its work in the fight against myopia, gain access to educational opportunities and resources offered by the collective, and hear from change agents, the ambassador optometrists selected to serve as advocates for community and policy change that facilitates the mission of the collective. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the show notes to join the collective today. In the past, Our focus revolved around prescribing MacuHealth or MacuHealth Plus to patients at risk of macular degeneration, while also recommending it to collegiate and professional athletes for enhanced contrast sensitivity in sports performance. However, this year's introduction of the Life Meter has been a game changer. The Life Meter revealed a concerning truth. Many of my patients have alarmingly low skin carotenoid levels, indicating potential deficiencies in essential body tissues like the retina and brain. Supported by over 30 peer-reviewed publications, Life Meter's accuracy, consistency, and effectiveness has been demonstrated across 2,000 subjects with diverse backgrounds. With this newfound insight, I can now have meaningful conversations about carotenoid levels with all of my patients, even those who may seem outwardly healthy. To learn more about this empowering technology, feel free to contact your MacuHealth representative or click on the link in the show notes. Together, let's optimize patient care and elevate their well-being.
All right, the last part, SOPs. We've talked a lot about this. And, you know, I'd like to say thank you, Aaron. Our last podcast conversation that you recorded really helped me a lot in terms of understanding that there really is like two issues in most optometry offices. When a problem occurs, it's either one, there's no system, meaning there's no written system or no procedure for it already, or people not understanding the system, or two, it's just people not being able to run the system. Mm-hmm. So that's why within the past like 6 to 9 months, I've like stressed so much more on just SOPs and updating systems all the time. Back in the day, you know, we talked about this before. SOPs, during COVID, we had those 2 months that I just sat there and just Google Doc'd everything, and then put them in these little white binders next to every single workstation, and they're just collecting dust. No one's actually using it. So within the last 9 months, I think I talk about it a little later as well, but I switched to a more digital version of it. They're not paying me, but there's a company called Trainio where you can pretty much like web capture a system and have the employees just go through it and watch the video, listen to the audio. Back in the day, how do you train people? Hey, John, can you follow Aaron and copy everything Aaron does?
Yep.
And John takes a month to 2 months, and was like, I still don't understand how to use the Ifinity portal. You know, the Trainio system allows us to screen capture and onboard employees a lot faster. So that's what I've changed. But sorry, I went off tangent. But SOPs.
No, I think that's we can stay there for a minute. I think that's really good. One of the problems that we ran into in our office is, you know, we trained the first person. So I trained employee 1. Yep. Employee 1 trained employee 2. Employee 2 trained employee 3. And it ended up being a really bad game of telephone, because by the time you get to employee 5, I'm looking at the process going, what are we doing here? And they're like, well, this is how I was trained. So we haven't used Trainio yet. I use Loom. To do video recordings, very similar, and but that way you can always go back to the original standard system, and everybody gets trained off that original standard, which is helpful.
Loom integrates with Trainio.
Does it? Okay. See, you're already 2 steps ahead of me. I've got notes here that I'm taking down, and Trainio is on there. So.
Yep. And then the next part is. I wanted to show everyone some eye-opening things. You connected me with Dwayne Dixon, I think is his last name. And Dwayne actually, last December, you asked if I wanted to do this program, like a secret shopper program. Yep. And like I said, I'm a yes man, so yes, Aaron, let's do it. And what we found was very, very eye-opening. So I kind of broke down, I think the report was like 5 or 6 pages long, but we kind of broke down like everything. So for those listening and not watching the video, the top 2 are just our website. Like Dwayne acted like he was a patient and started from knowing no optometry and nothing. So a couple of things, website, there was Plano sunglasses. Patients don't know what Plano is. There was a frame link that when you clicked on it, you were unauthorized, right? Like, how do you feel from a patient standpoint where, man, this website's broken? Or, hey, I don't know what half of this stuff is being said. What's ODOS on the website, right? So we had to restructure or put like checkpoints where, hey, let's frequently go and update and check and make sure all these access points in our website is working. In terms of our employees, Dwayne kind of left a few notes because he scheduled an appointment online. He also called in to see how our front desk was. Some of the notes: person answering the phone did not introduce himself and asked if I was coming in for glasses or contacts. Tech did not introduce himself. Pre-test was ran, a bunch of testing, but never explained what the tests were for. I guarantee you, these were in my SOP notes. To say hello, to greet yourself. So what do? We had to retrain, re-update these protocols, and emphasize the protocols. Optician did not encourage the shop for frames. Asked why buying from focal optometry, they should buy from focal optometry. Staff says it was mostly because of lens design. There's a lot more reasons why you should spend money with us compared to just, we have fancy lens designs. So obviously we had to retrain our sales structure, retrain our sales protocols. Can't throw my staff under the bus without throwing myself under the bus as well. So warm handoff, but did not incorporate clinical and lifestyle issues that we are trying to solve for. Long story short, slow down. Slow down on your handoffs. So I had to improve how to, do a proper handoff with my staff. And to be honest, my opticians gave me a lot more pointers than I thought I would. So I've definitely gotten better with that as well. But yeah, it's just extremely eye-opening. These are just a few that I thought really stood out. And obviously we had to change a bunch.
What's interesting on these, Alan, you've mentioned it a couple times. You have your SOPs written out. Yep. And I think most of us either have it in a very clear digital format like you do, or in some ratty binder, but we have it written out. I think the rubber meets the road when we don't practice it. So you're a California kid, so we grew up with fire drills and earthquake drills.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody yells earthquake, you and I know exactly what to do because we drilled it at least once a month. And I've never had to use it, by the way, but we drilled it. I knew exactly what to do, what desk to get under, how to hold my hand over my neck. I wonder in our offices if part of the challenge is that we have SOPs written out, but we don't drill them in a place where we can offer correction and offer feedback. Right? It doesn't get drilled, it doesn't get practiced, it only gets told to do it in a real life patient setting, which is the worst time and place to do something.
Having and using are very different. I had it. I understand. I mean, everyone understands SOPs is like how you run your office. Having it, but no one looking at it is very different.
Yes.
Second off, looking at it, but also not updating them is very different. Because I feel like because we're in a small office or like small businesses, we pivot right and left so quickly. And then guess what? If it's typed out, I gotta reprint 8 copies of this SOP. That's not gonna work. So through this process, my eyes were just wide open in the sense of like, we gotta update them. And a lesson from you, if people haven't heard of the previous podcast, we don't have to update them. Have the staff update them. And they know the system better than me at this point and what to do and things. So I have them make train mules and they can put their name and voice over it as well, and they love it.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I love you started too with the Plano sunglasses, an activity that I tried in my office, and I strongly recommend for everyone because we have SOPs, but sometimes they backfire on us. And so one of the activities that I like to do is say, hey, Patient walks in, grabs a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses or Maui Jim sunglasses, whatever, and
Yep.
says, I want to buy these. How
Yep.
easy is it to buy that from you? Because I'll tell you, initially in our office, it was a pain. Do you want to make those prescription? When's the last time you had an exam? What's your managed vision care? Here,
Yep.
you need to fill out this 2-page front and back sheet so I can put you in the system.
Yep.
Where you could go across the street to the surf shop and buy them in 30 seconds.
Yep.
So how hard are we to do business with, even though we think we're the best to do business with?
Yep. And I think that's also, I think I stole that from you, but being easy to do business with goes a long way for a lot of people. Goes a long way.
100%.
So what did I change? To summarize everything, use systems. We got to create systems. And to shout out to Vision Source, Max, oh my God, it's amazing. My staff, I think there was like a day where Max went down, and it was like 911 in my office. My staff runs in, they're like, Doc, Max is down. I'm like, let me text Aaron.
Nice. So for those who aren't listening, can you describe what Max is to, or who are listening but don't know, can you describe what Max is to them?
Max is a Vision Source program that allows our staff to input VSP or IMED benefits, and it'll help almost like the sales process. Back in the day, the old school method is we print out their VSP sheet or IMED sheet, and then like you start chicken scratching right next to it, say this is the copay, and depending on everyone's math level, they pull out a calculator, and we all like type notes write notes, and then after the patient leaves, you look at it and you're like, what did I write? What Max does is it gives you a code, and that code is for the patient. Print that sheet out for them. Patient comes back in 2 weeks, or even that day. We can always standardize and make it look very professional, and also make it a little bit more consistent. The beauty of Max is almost never wrong. I'd say very close to never wrong. And you rarely miss any copays off of Max unless it was set up incorrectly. So that's what I appreciate about Max, and my staff loves it. They don't know anything else at this point. They're like, Max is the way, trust Max.
Yes.
CLX for contacts. So Max is more so for frame and lenses, things like that. CLX for contacts. Create a system. Either there's Marlowe, there's CLX, there's all these other. I'm sure ABB has one too. I think I haven't looked at that one yet, but CLX is great. Where it almost does. I love the fact that it does something called a patient protect, where it's almost like an extra employee. This patient ordered 6 months supply. In 5 months, the patient gets an email saying, hey, you're running low on contacts. Would you like to reorder? And they'll sometimes reorder, sometimes not. Create practice protocols, right? Like Vision Source has all these myopia control, there's diabetes, there's AMD. There's all these systems for these conditions, which we should also standardize on, okay, this is a diabetic patient. We need to dilate. We need to fill out this diabetic report for the patient. What I changed, I also hired some virtual assistants. There's Teams, there's HelloRach. Virtual assistants, I've heard good things, and I've experienced not so good things, but what I've learned from hiring virtual assistants is they're like any employee. You just have to find the right talent and the right people. And once you actually find those correct people, night and day. Very night and day. Our office relies so much on them at this point, and they're very appreciated. So obviously Weave, Edge Pro, do some data tracking, KPIs, get the Seeker Shopper in. Obviously, I don't want to volunteer Dwayne, but Dwayne's busy. You can ask any of your reps, just have someone be a patient and see where your flaws are, right? And also hiring people. Shout out to a company that I used. It's called Build My Team. I don't know if you've heard of that. Build My Team is hiring. An OD, I think, created it. I think they're based in Boston. But that Build My Team system has kind of helped me find and recruit talent. and then obviously, like I said, train you earlier. I jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah. No,
Recommendation? Oh, yeah.
I was going to comment on the secret shopper. I find it interesting. I'm not a golfer. I play other sports, but I know lots of friends that are golfers that pay to work with a trainer, right? To pay to work with a golf pro to make their game better. I find it interesting that we don't always do that in our business and our livelihoods, right? Find somebody, give them a free exam, give them a free pair of glasses, have them come in and just hyper review the entire process. Because if you can see your blind spots, like you went through a small little list from Dwayne, it just makes you that much better.
And it's also like we're so busy practicing that you're just in the exam lane half the time. What happens outside, you have no idea. And we're not going to go and sit and watch our camera with no audio just to see how people interact in the front, right? So there's no, other than a secret shopper, I kind of, to be honest, I kind of audit them quite frequently now. So my staff always is just sort of like, was that a secret shopper or was that just your friend? I was like, that's just my friend, guys. So it's also a checks and balance, right? Like you think you're doing well on these systems, but are you really doing well? And the only way to do it is to test the systems. Kind of like your earthquake drills, right? Well, we used to do it once a month. But how often does someone actually, let me call and see how people are answering the phones? And like there's certain things like that where I think the secret shopper is extremely valuable.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. And last, just recommendation, find what your product is, right? Find the reason for patients to come see you. And to me, it's their whole patient experience, the whole patient journey, right? From the moment they look us up to the moment they call us or schedule online, that product is already starting. Use what you got. A lot of times people think like, especially with like, for me right now, I'm doing like myopia control or starting to add on more myopia control. And you're like, I need an axial length, I need this. But just use what you got, you know. We have more than enough people, we have more than enough talent in our office, even today, to utilize their expertise. Be consistent, kind of like I said earlier, with the whole marketing situation. Consistency is key. If you're not consistent, you'll never know if it's actually working or not working. Ask for help. Thank you, Aaron. I always ask for help. Ask people around you. I like to say most ODs are relatively kind and nice and willing to share their knowledge. And go do trainings. If you're in Vision Source 1.0, 2.0, Budox, can't speak more highly. I think, Aaron, you're cheating though, because you get to sit in all of them. So many, you've taken this like 1,000 times at this point.
I found the cheat code, and the cheat code is to surround yourself with just colleagues who want to help each other and who are willing to be vulnerable and say, I'm struggling with something. Let's talk through it. The business of optometry courses are fantastic. I'll tell you internally, it's, Mick and Lori and I and plenty of others along with you, right? It's not uncommon for us to reach out to each other to say, hey guys, I'm struggling in this aspect of my business or that. And, even though we may be on stage talking about what to do, the experts still have challenges. And we're people too, our businesses have the ups and downs like any other. So just having that community is huge. And don't sell yourself short, Alan. You're a strong part of that.
I gotta retake them. I gotta go and steal some more secrets from all these other doctors in those classes. But I thought those were extremely valuable. So
thank you.
Big recap. Keys to growth. Make it very simple. Have a great product. Build a solid team. Develop your system so your teams can run that. Market it to people, and then you're going to grow. Very simple, right? Easier said than done.
I love it. Hey, and for those who were watching the YouTube, kudos to you. It's rare to see a presentation that wasn't full of all sorts of words and you're you're younger than I am, so you grew up in the meme generation, but you've got some really good images on here and very clear and concise. So I loved the story you put together.
I try to make it fun, I try to make it interactive, and this stuff can get pretty dry at times. So so that's the presentation, Aaron. That's the presentation that you missed. So that was the practice run. This is the actual test.
This is the actual one. I love it.
This is the actual
and the proof's
one.
in the pudding.
Yeah.
I bragged about you at the beginning, but I think it's worth mentioning, right? You took an established practice, solo doc practice, and you've had over 20% year over year growth multiple years consecutively, and you're on pace to do even better than that this year, which says that you're doing something right in an environment where you could throw a baseball and hit pretty much 4 different private practices from where you are at. So so kudos to you, and really I think that your biggest superpower is just your ability to connect with people, your ability to say, hey, I've got this, I'm good, or I need some help with this, right? That you check the ego at the door very, very well, and just say, hey, we're all in this together, how can I help? Because you're the first one to raise your hand when somebody asks for help too. Yeah. So,
thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
I've had a lot.
We all do. Right? It's that's part of the community. That's part of the growth, and I mean that's one of the reasons why I love doing honestly the podcast, because I get to talk to somebody new almost every week and get different insights. That's why we do the quarterly book club with Kyle and Brianna, because we want to get different insights from other people. It's just it's fun to pull all these different ideas together into one aspect. Yeah,
and thanks for always doing the podcast. It's my weekly running audio that I listen to. So I feel like I don't see you often, but you're always in my ear, Aaron.
Except for the occasional week when I don't have one, and then I know that I'm going to get a text from Allen Chung on the Thursday saying, hey,
did I miss it? I got nothing to listen to on this run.
And you're stuck listening to Chris Wolf, and I'm sorry. No, all good stuff. Well, Allen, this is fantastic. Appreciate you being part of our little family here in San Diego.
Of course.
Definitely sharing the growth you've had. Excited to see your growth. Excited even more to be able to call you friend.
Of course. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for inviting me back, by the way.
Absolutely. Right. Until next time.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and our YouTube channel, both linked in the show notes. Now, here's something exciting. We're giving away a 1-year subscription to Comprehensive Optometry Simplified. All you have to do is leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, take a screenshot, and email it to me at questions@icodeeducation.com. We'll put that in the show notes as well. We'll be selecting a winner on December 15th, so don't miss your chance to get access to this valuable resource. Thanks again for listening. I can't wait to see your reviews.